Well, hey, that's Brother Peter again with tidbits from the Word, and I was in a going mode there a few minutes ago, and we were doing one just before the flood, talking about Noah and talking about the earth being covered by people. Well, here we had 1,600 years of civilization from the Garden of Eden up there, which was about 2,000 years total in all. And we got up to the flood. And when we got to the flood now, remember, just one man, Noah, and 7 other people are going to be saved, which make 8. Now, Noah found righteousness in the eyes of God. God did not say that Noah's wife and Noah's children found righteousness in the eyes of God. He said that Noah did. But Noah took his family with him, and God had that happen. And by the way, when Noah did do that and take them, sin was still in those people beside Noah, because Noah was righteous in the eyes of God, but a great sin happened after Noah landed. But anyway, let's not talk about that right now. Let's talk about this, that Noah worked 120 years and he preached to the world for 120 years, and they rejected him. They said, "No, you're crazy, old man. What you're saying ain't true. What you're saying, listen." They said, "We never saw rain, Noah, and we don't think there is such a thing." Well, I'm going to tell you, it's like I said not too long ago, I've never seen electricity either. But you stick your finger in a light socket, you're going to find out it's there. And so Noah worked on the ark for 120 years and preached and preached and preached. Genesis chapter 6, 9 through 9:29, you're going to find the story. And then God said, after that, as the dispensation is coming on the earth after the flood, is called human government. Human government comes into play then, after that. Remember, that was the dispensation of conscience, back when everybody did what was right in their own mind. And the Bible said there is a way that seems right unto man, but the end thereof is sudden destruction. Now we have coming into our scene a thing called the Tower of Babel. What was the problem with the Tower of Babel? The Tower of Babel was the problem was that man was trying again now for the second time. Now you got to remember, there was 8 people came off that boat. And the next thing we're talking about is the Tower of Babel. Well, if we're talking about the Tower of Babel and thousands of people building this tower, where did those people come from? I'll tell you where they come from. They came from Noah, Ham, Shem, and Japheth. Now, Ham, Shem, and Japheth had a line of people that came up that made a group of people. Now, I have a chart in front of me that tells me who Ham, Shem, and Japheth brought up. Now, they brought up Gomer, Magog, Javan, Medai, Tubal, Meshach, Taris, Kirsch, Merom, Put, Canaan, Asphax, Selah, Eber, Peleg. These guys, all of these guys came up, and then they came up to this guy, and what was his name? He was the guy that built the Tower of Babel. And what was his name? His name was what? And let's go, we're going to find it in a minute. Isn't that awful that I have a name go out of my mind like that? And I knew it. And he was a gatherer of men, is what he was. And he went out and he gathered up men. The Bible said he was a great hunter. And he hunted men, is what he hunted. He didn't hunt for tigers and lions and all that. He hunted for men to follow him and to build this Tower of Babel. Now, as they were building this tower, there was a lot of stories about this tower. But they all spoke the same language. And because they all spoke the same language, there was an agreement among them to where they could do whatever they pleased. And God looked down and he said, you know, these guys are going to do anything they have in their mind. Nimrod, that's who he was. He was Nimrod that built that. Now, Nimrod had a command from God, and all these other people, Peleg, Eber, Salah, and Ru, and Suraj, and Namor, they all had a commission from God. And you know what that commission was? That was to go out and don't make gatherings, don't make cities. Go out and replenish the earth again, recover the earth again. And God was saying there that the earth was covered before the flood. So he said, go out and recover the earth, replenish the earth again. The whole earth needed replenishing. Why? Because the whole earth needed tending. And how did the earth get tended? By man. Man was commissioned to tend this earth. God put it out here, he designed it, and he left it for men to tend. I like a program, somebody, I saw a preacher one day, and I was listening to him, and he was telling a story. He said a garden that man grew was beautiful. And then he said this was a garden that God grew. It was beautiful too, but it was wild. And it didn't have in it what man did. When man cultivated it and plowed it and planted it and got it, there's straight rows and everything. But that which is wild, and it just grows any which way, and it didn't produce what the man produced. So here we got off from the ark. We were there on the ark for, remember, we were there for 360, 7 days, 68 days. We were there just a shade over a year. A lot of people think, well, no, we was only on the ark for 40 days and 40 nights. I beg to differ with you. The Bible said the water came from beneath and the water came from above for 40 days and 40 nights and covered the earth 15 fathoms over the highest mountain. So the highest peak on this earth was covered by water. That means the total earth, again, was covered by water. And what did that tell us? That told us that back over there, when God took this earth and he put the canopy of water above this earth and took it off from this earth, and he unwrapped the earth from the water and put the water over the top of the earth, then he had put the water back on the earth. He put it back on the earth, capped the earth with it again. Well, man can't live in water. He's not a fish. He's a man that breathes air. So water killed him. Water drowned him. Water drowned the dinosaurs. God didn't have dinosaurs taken on the ship, on the boat. The dinosaurs went extinct after that. Why didn't God have dinosaurs? He didn't need them after that. That's why. But anyway, back over here in this dispensation of the present age, that's the age we live in now. God had to come down at the Tower of Babel, and he had to confuse the language. Now Nimrod had gathered up a great group of men. Men like to follow men. And as Nimrods have been on the earth, ever since the first Nimrod, we've had men on the earth that are Nimrods. Now what does a Nimrod do? He gathers up and tries to build a work that he is the follower of. Now China, for instance, has these guys that are the head guy. He's the head man of the whole of China. And that guy in Japan, he's the head man. And the guy in Cuba, he's the head man of the whole thing. Now these are Nimrods. These are people who gather great followers and following. We had a guy come walking across the land years ago. His name was Hitler. He was a Nimrod. He wanted everything to be exactly like he wanted it and left God out of the picture. And by the way, from what I understand, he was a man that was dealt with in his youth by somebody had introduced him to God and he rejected and ended up where he ended up. So be careful how you reject God and where you may end up. Now I would like to go into the origin of the Hebrew race. And the only way I can do that would be in the next excerpt, because we're at 9:35 and we only got 58 seconds. Now, WOAK.com is a radio station in LaGrange, Georgia. I have listened to that now for 28 years. In 28 years, God has given me more information from that station than I could have got if I'd have been in school for 28 years.